listening to Be Inspired, your one-stop shop for inspiration. Stay tuned for your inspiring show. Now, here's your host, Erica.
It's me, Erica Latrice, and this is Be Inspired, your one-stop shop for inspiration. I'm so excited to have you join me today. As usual, you guys know I'm pumped because I have a very special guest today in the Be Inspired Cafe. She has empowered me, inspired me from afar, and so much more. So I know that you guys are in for a treat. Before we get into the Be Inspired Cafe, I just want to share a quick message with you guys on expectations. Expectations. It seems so simple. But I had an eye-opening moment because recently it seemed like every corner that I was turning, I was just connecting with the best people. Opportunities were taking place that I could only dream about years ago. And I was like, what is so different? But one of the things that I know that has changed, one of the things that I know that is definitely different from years ago when it was simply just a prayer and just something I was writing down on my vision board or putting in my journal, I now expect great things to happen. And I think it's so important that we start having an expectation for the best. Paul basically puts it this way, and I don't want to remix this verse or anything, but he talks about thinking on those things that are good and of good report and that are lovely instead of expecting the worst. Because I am a strong advocate of this thought. And this thought is that if you have the option to expect the worst and expect the best, why on earth would you choose the worst? You have no control over anything beyond what you're expecting, so why not at least expect the best? So that is my encouragement for you guys today. I want you to make a conscious decision that every time that you step out, that you will step out with an expectation for amazing things to happen, for connections to take place, for prayers to be answered. Whatever that thing is for you, start expecting the best. As promised, I have my special guest in the Be Inspired Cafe, and of course, our inspirational, motivational song of the day. So on the other side of this song, you will hear from Cheryl Wood, our special guest in the Be Inspired Cafe. Stay tuned.
I hear the sound of victory. I know that things are gonna change for me.
Welcome you guys into the Be Inspired Cafe. I know I always say I'm excited, but I'm like triple excited today about our guest because I know she's going to empower you, inspire you, uplift you, and then have resources where you can get connected and go even further in that inspiration to another level in your life, in your business, and all across the board. So welcome with me into the Be Inspired Cafe. She is an international keynote speaker and the empowerment champion, Cheryl Wood. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. I'm pumped because I know that you're just so inspirational and you're uplifting, and I know that women that glean from you, they actually get some great content and practical steps to living their dreams. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. It's a privilege.
Yes. So I want to get started. For those that may or may not have come in contact with you, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. So I always like to start with, the personal side of me because I think our businesses are always just an extension of who we are personally. So personally, I am a wife. I'm a mother of three. I have three little ones. Ironically, this is going to be funny. I have two sons who are both 8 years old right now, and they're not twins. So they're what we call Irish twins. So they're actually 10 months apart, which I'm telling you, Erica, I didn't even know that was possible, but clearly it is possible. So
bless your heart to have two boys. Let's just start. I have one, and boys are just so much more, I'll say, ambitious than girls are.
I always say they're crazy. I mean, they're amazing. I have two boys. Exactly. Who are 8. They always stay the same for a couple months every year, same age. And so one just turned 8 in October, and the other one will turn 9 in December. So, of course, the baby boy loves being the same age as his older brother for those couple, that month and a half or so. And then I have an 11-year-old daughter who is like my mini me. She is literally like just a reflection of me. So I love my role as a wife and a mother, and honestly, that's my top priority in life. As an extension of that, in my business, I am an international speaker. I'm an author. I've written 4 books. And I am what I like to call a transformation coach. So I love to see women go from where they are to where they want to be. And a lot of that, I believe, develops from belief in who they are, belief in what they're capable of, and this confidence that they build in order to believe that their possibilities can become realities. And so I feel like I'm that chauffeur almost, the chauffeur to help them really walk into a space of believing that they are worthy of anything that they want to achieve, that they have what it takes, and getting them more focused on what they have to achieve those things and the greatness that's in them, rather than focusing on what they're lacking and what's holding them back.
That is powerful. Cheryl, one thing that has inspired me in watching you is that you are so resilient. Like, I think that you decided what you wanted to do, and I know we all have hiccups along the road, we have obstacles, but because of your transparency to people, you have made it clear that you're not stopping, that you are passionate about what you're doing, you are passionate about your role as a wife, as a mother, and you've allowed that to even propel you in your business. So for that person that's listening right now, they may be at that beginning stage. They have a dream, they have a goal, but they're not quite sure where to start in making it happen. What advice would you give to them?
That is so ironic, because I posted something on my Facebook wall about becoming new and improved. And what I stated, just this morning was, in order to become new and improved, or what I consider the ultimate version of who God meant you to be, you first have to get started. And that means you have to put procrastination on the back burner. You have to put this idea of being perfect before you put it out there on the back burner.
Yes.
So for those who are thinking about it and, dreaming about it or daydreaming about it and praying about it, you got to just get started. And I understand that getting started can be hard, especially when you don't know where to start. So what I always encourage is start with the thing that's pulling on your spirit the most right now. So if I can go back 6 years ago in 2009, I wasn't a speaker. I wasn't speaking. I hadn't written any books. I wasn't coaching anybody. I was working a full-time job. But I knew I wanted change and I wanted transformation in my life. I knew I wanted to claim, this idea of success on my own terms. And so I really didn't know where to start. I was like, okay, what do I do? Where do I start? How do I even get on this path of creating this idea of success? And so I said, for me, instead of chasing money, which a lot of people equate, money to getting me out of the life that I'm in right now, instead of chasing money and just finding something quick that I could do to try to make some money and get away from my job, I instead decided, okay, I'm going to chase the thing that I really am passionate about right now. And that could change, right? That thing could change. But in that moment, right now, what is it that you're most passionate about? What do you enjoy the most? So for me, in 2009, I was most passionate about motherhood. My babies, they were still really, really babies. They were like 2 and 3. They were, that's in that really, really cute stage before they started talking back.
Where all they want to do is hug you, yes,
exactly.
Give you kisses on the cheek.
Right, and they ain't had no opinion. Mommy's opinion was only opinion. That was it. So I was just really head over heels about motherhood. And what I realized was that as mothers, so often we sacrifice who we are to be a mother. So we put everything on hold. And I said, what I want to do is I want to empower mothers to celebrate who they are, not only as mothers, but as women, because we don't do that a lot. So I connected what I love, motherhood, to a T-shirt business. And I called the T-shirt business Moms Are the Best. And that's how I started. I connected what I was most passionate about in the moment to a real business, which was, for me, it was product-based. It was T-shirts. And I started going out on weekends and vending at events and selling T-shirts. Now, look, I'm going to be very truthful, Erica. I didn't know why the heck I was selling T-shirts. I thought I was crazy. My husband thought I was crazy because I was still working a full-time job. But all I know is this, for sure, for a fact, you will never get anything different until you're willing to do something different. So
Yes,
for me,
ma'am.
that was different. It was different. It was new. It at least got me started on a path to start exploring who I was really meant to be. And it was 18 months later, let me repeat that, 18 months later that I was detoured into my true passion of speaking. So 18 months into still working full-time, still handling my responsibilities as a mother and a wife, and working that business and vending on weekends, I got a phone call from someone at Morgan State University. They had heard about the T-shirt business, and they were like, well, look, we heard about this business, that you're this mommypreneur. We can have a conference every year, an annual conference. We get 200 or 300 women, and they come from all across the country, and we want you as a mom to come and teach other moms at the conference how to start businesses.
Wow.
That literally was the shift.
Oh, my.
That was the shift that detoured me. I didn't even have speaking on my radar. Like, I had never been in Toastmasters. Because when they called me, honestly, immediately after they said it, I burst out laughing. I was like, well, clearly, you have dialed the wrong number because I know you're not looking for me.
I love it. Oh, my gosh.
A speaker. Wasn't a speaker. Wasn't thinking about speaking. Didn't have that even on my radar. But when you get started and you're willing to be consistent in doing something different, you will eventually, I believe this with everything in my heart and soul, you will eventually be detoured into the thing that you are really God assigned to do. And that's what happened for me. So when they invited me in and they clarified that, yes, they had not dialed the wrong number, it was me that they were looking for, I decided to take the opportunity and just explore it. And now I could have said no to the opportunity because I was scared or I was afraid or I didn't think I was qualified, but I did it anyway. And when I did that event, Erica, I knew with everything in the core of who I am as a person, that is what I was born to do. Not just, I was going to be good at it, but that's what I was born to do. That was my unique, God-given gift that nothing else could make me feel that amazing. And it's just been grinding for that ever since then.
That is so, so encouraging, and it's so true. I told you guys, I gave you the warning. You should have your notepads out. I told you Cheryl was going to inspire you. I tell people all the time how powerful it can be to major in the minors. I recently shared something that basically says stop waiting, stop putting things off, step out, because when you take that leap of faith, God will allow the people, the situations, the opportunities and circumstances to soon follow when you take a leap of faith. And I actually had people responding like, well, I'm not jumping ahead of God and, et cetera. But my thought is without faith, it is impossible to please God. And if you don't know what it is that you need to do, what you just shared, Cheryl, is it. It's called be a great steward over where you're at. Use exactly what you have right now in this season and make the most of it. Step out, stop waiting. And have you ever experienced this where you'll have someone, they'll share with you this big dream and goal, and then you run into that same person 2 years later, and they're still talking about that big dream and that big goal, yet they have not taken step one to get there?
I actually have a client of mine who, well, now is a client, but when we met, it's so funny. When we met, we both were going to a 2-day speaker, boot camp. So it was my first, class or session ever as a speaker. And that was after I had been in the speaking industry for about, I've been pursuing it for about a year or so, a year and a half. And I went to this speaker boot camp with Willie Jolly. And there was another attendee there, and he came all the way from Texas here to the D.C. area to come, and we met there. Well, after that, I took that content and some other content, and, I hired a coach and did all this stuff, and I took off. You just couldn't stop me. People were just like, dang, girl, you serious, aren't you? Yep, I sure am. Because I know that's right. Something. And, when you're working for something, which for me, I was working to create a different reality in that when I was working full-time and doing the T-shirt business, I was giving my kids, honestly, the worst part to me. I was giving them the tired, irritable, frustrated mom who hated her job, who, and they got that. Kids get that. When you come home, they get that you're not happy. They sense that, they feel it, and they get the result of it. And so I was running from that existence. I was running into, look, I want to live life. I want to show my kids what it looks like to live life. I want to show them what it looks like to wake up every day. You're excited about what you get to do and you're changing people's lives, that's what I was working towards. So I didn't have time to waste. I had time to think about what it was going to look like. All I could do was execute and implement. Well, now, lo and behold, as we came forward about 3 years later, that same individual came to me and made that comment like, I just look at you and I cannot believe how you have taken off in your career. He was like, you're everywhere. He actually became one of my clients. He became a client of mine and came to my speaker training course because he's like, you took everything and ran with it, and here I am still thinking about it. So you're right. So it's about implementation and execution. You can think about it all day long. So look, get that thing started, mess up, get up. Fall down, get up. Fail, learn some information and keep it moving.
Fail your way to success. Sarah, I love it because a lot of times we feel like all the pieces need to be in place, and I don't know if you've ever gotten this one, but where people say, you don't need to be spending all of your money, or how much are you making? And if they would have asked you that in month 1, month 2, a lot of times we can get discouraged when family and friends who mean well, if you're not, making $1 million in month 2, then they're like, oh, you're crazy for stepping out. But no, it takes consistency. It takes getting up and speaking, whether you have 5 people in the room or 5,000. It takes, having excellence about yourself, whether you are earning $10 million that month, $10,000 that month, or $10 in day one. But you have to be consistent and serious, I believe. So what would you say to that person as well, that they're coming up against opposition right now because maybe they are in month 1 and they haven't seen the fruit in month 1? And so what would you say to that person?
Wow. I mean, that's such a valid point. I don't think anything worth having is going to come to you overnight, period. I mean, anything else in life that we really value and want, we're willing to work for it. I mean, just think about that. When we want to marry somebody, when we want to find a man, we will put in the time, right? And we will go through some bad apples to get to the good apple. And we'll keep on pressing. Oh, he was a bad, I'm going to go to the next one, all right? Right? We will put in the time. We will put in the effort. Right? We will do whatever it takes. When we want to gain let's say a degree because we know it's going to move us forward in our career or move us forward and, we can get a promotion, guess what? We put in that 4 years. So we're willing, it seems like for everything else in life, we're willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy, even when it's, it takes time, we put the investment of time in. But for some reason, when it comes to living our dreams, we feel like, that's the thing that doesn't deserve the full investment of our time. And we have to create a shift in our mindset to understand that just as you value anything else that you're willing to work for, when you're willing to work for that body that you want, guess what? It ain't happening overnight. It's going to maybe 6 months in, 12 months in. You got to consistently eat well. You got to get out and work out, all of those things. And we're willing to do it for the end result. So the question is your end result, the big dream that you're thinking about, is it big enough for you to say, yes, I'm going to put in the investment of time and not expect it to happen overnight? And if it's not big enough, then guess what? That means you're playing small. So you need to take that thing up and find a bigger why. What's that end result, that bigger why that you want to get to that's going to propel you to say, I'm willing to put in whatever it takes. I always like to give this analogy and say, success is never found on the sales rack. You will always have to pay full price. You will always have to pay full price.
Oh, my goodness.
And that full price is going to come in terms of your time, your energy, your effort, your resources, and, yes, your finances.
I know that. So stop looking for that clearance or that sales success because it doesn't exist. And if it does, it's not going to last. It'll, you'll have that success for about 2 weeks and then it'll quickly fade away. Cheryl, absolutely. I am pumped. I'm telling you, if you could see me, I'm doing that amen hand, just waving my hand. Yes. So I know you have a new program coming out. So tell us, for those that are listening that want to get connected with what you're doing and what you have coming up on the horizons that they can get plugged into, what is going on your way for the upcoming months?
Thank you for asking. So I'm really committed to helping as many women as possible globally to start sharing their voice, or as I like to say, turn up the volume on their voice. Because so long we've pressed the mute button on our voices thinking that it's not enough, we're not good enough, nobody wants to hear our story and our truth, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. And so I am on a mission, an assignment to tap into the lives of as many women as possible around the globe to say, now is your time to tell your story and your truth, because your story and your truth has power, not for you, but for someone else. Your story is about you, but it ain't for you. And when we realize that, we have a responsibility and an obligation to share our story, because in our stories are lessons, experiences, knowledge that somebody else needs so they can move forward in their journey, in their life course, in their success. And so I'm rolling out these programs. I already do my Rock Your Stage speaker program, which is an 8-week intensive, which is done primarily virtually so that anyone basically around the world can be a participant of that. But I recently rolled out a new program called Do It, Love It, Rock It. And there are several ways that you can be a part of that. You can go through just the training, the virtual training, which is, modules and assignments and templates and things like that just come to you automatically, and you can work through that at your own pace. Or you can take the next greater step, which is the Platinum program, and that's where you're working hands-on with me. Because what I want to do is I want to be able to see the manifestation of what I've put in. So I am looking for a core group of women, about 10 to 20 women going into the new year, that I can support and look over those 12 months and say, you started here, but look where you are now. Look at all the platforms where you're sharing your voice. You're reaching lives that you never imagined you would reach. You've built an increased level of confidence and clarity about your message and the power that it holds. Like, that is a very serious mission for me, is to be able to reach back and help as many other women as possible to share their story and their truth and walk in the power of it. And so, again, the Do It, Love It, Rock It Platinum program is the thing that I'm really heavily out and encouraging women to become a part of as we go into the new year.
Wonderful. I am so excited to see you all tap into that next stage, that next phase in your life. And Cheryl is just the person I believe that can get you there. So I will have your website posted, or can you share with us the best way to connect with you on social media, get to your website and all those great things?
Absolutely. So on social media, I'm at Cheryl Empowers, CHERYL EMPOWERS, Cheryl Empowers, and that's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, literally and Periscope. That's on all of those platforms. And then if you want to connect with me directly, you can send an email to assistant@CherylWoodEmpowers.com, assistant@CherylWoodEmpowers with an S-on-the-end.com.
Wonderful. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for taking time out to be in the Be Inspired Cafe today. I truly am inspired and just laughing still thinking about some of the things that you shared, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for what you're doing and for creating this platform to reach so many lives. Like, sometimes we don't even realize the full impact we're having. So I just want to thank you, because this is touching lives, and more of us need to accept that responsibility to use what we have and what we know and the platforms that we have available to us to touch lives. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I could have interviewed her for like 3 days. It's so inspiring. And if you haven't connected with her, make sure that you get on my website, ericalatrice.com, and look at her links, get connected with her website, and find her on social media. I promise you will be inspired and empowered. You guys know that my message for you always centers around this: dream big, live on purpose, and of course, be inspired. You guys have an amazing day.